In today's episode, we talk about ADHD. Do you have it? Do you not? We speak about Conor McGregor and his return to the UFC, and we also chat about productivity hacks and what you can do in order to make your life better. Let's go. Welcome back to a new episode of the No Rep podcast. I'm with none other than Evan Middleton.
Hello, guys.
And Nathaniel Blackberry.
What up?
No, Blueberry. Blueberry, sorry.
I called him Mackenzie last week.
Nathan McKenzie or something?
It was Nathan Mackenzie, aye.
What is happening, Chips? How are we?
I'm good. He just started smiling, I don't know why. Fantastic, mate. Fantastic.
Just happy to be here.
Yeah.
Actual. How are you?
Good. Why we all get the giggles?
I don't know,
Is it maybe because of the conversation we had
beforehand?
off air?
What conversation?
What is it all chatting about again?
Paul, what were we chatting about? Mic up. Anyway,
this could be a good topic of discussion.
I tell you what, if we're on it, things to speak about, we
We can go back
we
to that.
can rehash. So
That's
if you've
it.
just started this episode, wait to the end and maybe you'll hear some juicy stuff. But what's been happening in the world of late? In fact, we went and seen our boy play at Murrayfeild. That was amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well done,
Thank you
well
very
done.
much.
I was actually saying to Danny in the car, and I said to you in the gym actually, and I was like, we started the last episode with how does it feel to have won the National Shield final at Murrayfield. So I'm going to kick this one off as, what's it feel like to be a loser?
Well, we won second place. And really, rugby's the real winner, isn't it?
Rugby is the winner.
Rugby. Do you know, it was fucking, see, I keep talking about it as if this was the best part about the day, but there was burritos in the change room at full time. Like Scottish rugby, I've got a big box. Obviously, playing at Murrayfield's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Remembers nothing about the game.
Nothing about the game, right?
Remembers
But like chicken burritos in this big hot box, and then you get a wee like packed lunch as well, and it's just that was the highlight of my day.
Did you feel like a professional?
Yes.
Like walking through the stands and going out in the pitch and stuff like that beforehand? Like,
It was always the whole day, because obviously they do all the finals, so it's like I suppose to bring a bit of kind of that professional feel to club rugby and to celebrate club rugby. But even coming into the stadium, like they waved the bus in to the inside gates of the stadium, and then you drive around the inner perimeter of the stadium. Then you get met with somebody coming off the bus, and they give you like your lanyard and stuff, take you into Scotland's changing rooms, and then like you do a wee bit kind of media stuff. You go out onto the pitch. It was insane, and then you've got people telling you, right, guys, you've got 3 minutes till. They had like a word that said like go time or something like that. You've got 2 minutes to go time, and then they were like guiding you to. Like, I had like a wee mascot and that, and I was like, the first person walking out. And that right, East Kilbride go right of the shield, Stuart to go left of the shield. Then I'm the captain, so I go out on the main like where the referee is. You take pictures. It was coordinated really, really well. It was class. Though unlucky about the result, obviously, but it was weird having so many people there to watch.
a lot of folk there. I mean, Murrayfield is massive, but it's like, and I don't think that helped show the scale of the amount of people that were actually there watching it, if that made sense. Like, imagine you were fitting that many people around Torrance House Arena.
That'd be mental.
Like, it'd be chaos there. Like, there's so many people. How many? Because I think Sparky told me how many people
There's
were
maybe about 1,000 people there.
1,100 or something like that.
See, when I was on the pitch, I was the noise was deafening. I couldn't hear I couldn't hear people that were like 2 meters away from me.
Really?
Right? Because it was so loud.
That was Jordan.
And then
I was screaming over there. I was screaming.
But I was thinking, imagine this had 67,000 people. Like,
Aye, how you meant to do it then?
but just imagine what it would like. I had goosebumps with 1,000 people there. Like, wow, this is mega. And
What was the nerves like?
My marsh was making buttons. Do you know, actually, see, after like you made your first hit, you kind of just went into game mode.
And you forgot.
Just forgot about it. But see, prior to actually doing anything, I was worried about fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried about dropping the ball. Like,
I'm sure every other player in the park.
I was actually really worried about like fucking up the stuff before it. See, like walking out on the pitch and like tripping or like, I don't know, like sending the mascot away, just stupid stuff that you wouldn't usually, that I wouldn't usually need to think about.
Aye.
But it was class.
It was so cool to just watch, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just cool to be like a part of. And even though like, so see afterwards, like going back to the club and stuff like that, like everybody was still in like good spirits, and like it was class to see everyone just like, even though I think that they would have been just as happy I don't know, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Whether you won or lost, I think it was the whole process of actually getting there was probably the
win or
most
lose,
important.
we were on the booze.
It was pretty heavy weekend, wasn't it, Danny?
It was a heavy weekend.
How many days did it take you to recover from that?
Do you know? Took me 2. I was actually
mate, and Wednesday you were still.
No, Wednesday I was
Tuesday?
Tuesday I was
Aye.
Tuesday morning I levelled myself out.
It was Tuesday when I chinned yous both
It was.
If we're not doing any work.
for not doing anything, and I'm like, get your fucking heads out your asses, boys, come on.
To be fair, that was my first time drunk this year.
Which is fair play.
Do you know what I mean? I've drank like 3 drinks before that. So I was like, do you know what? And I chose to get fucking, I was like, I'm choosing to just have a day here. And I did. And I woke up the next day, I was like, oh my god, I should have done what Jordan done. I should have went for food with Jordan and that.
I was trying to get him to come to the Cartville for a scran, and like, because I was with obviously Kyle, Dow, Mark. I think it was just us actually.
You're quite good at calling it.
Yeah, I'll know, but because the thing is though, I had to pick Katie up later on that night, so I was in disguise, mate. I was having lemonade blackcurrants. Oh, the whole time in the club. I didn't have a single drink in the club.
Wow.
I had a beer.
I feel lied to.
I had a beer at the Roddy got us a beer. Shout out Roddy. And then like that was pretty much it. And then when we got to the clubhouse, I was just like, everybody was going to Tesco right next to Murrayfeild buying booze. I bought a meal deal. Just because I knew I had to pick her up later, so I was like, it's fine. And the thing is, I had to pick her up for Crossmouth Station, which is like
Sneaky boy.
So we went and got a scan. I was trying to get him. I was like, Danny, mom will get something to eat. He was looking at me. He was looking in the wrong direction. He's like, I'm going to stay here for a bit. I was like, okay, bro.
It was a drunk Danny.
Would you say that the whole experience was inspiring enough to make you play again?
Yes.
You heard that, listeners. You heard that. Verbal agreements are binding in the state of New York and Scotland.
Yeah, I know, 100%. And the thing is, though, I wanted to play beforehand. I told you this. Anyway.
Yeah, we've been kind of chatting about it.
But I know, 100%. I'll be lying to you if I said no. So I don't even think I've got boots anymore. But I'll need to maybe.
I'll fucking buy them.
I'll go to Sports Direct, get a pair of boots, and maybe do a little bit. But the thing is, though, the thing that does hold me back a wee bit is that it's a huge commitment. Like how many hours you're saying that you commit to it?
All in all, about 16 a week, probably.
It's a lot of time to do it. And
But then, do you need to be as committed as me?
This is the other thing.
I'm the captain of the club.
I'm not the captain.
You're not the captain.
They might want me to be.
They might.
Okay.
Lol.
You just rock up for one training.
I think. See, the thing is as well, and this is to kind of any athletes and stuff out there. You've got a finite amount of time when you can do sport. Right. Obviously, you can do it in different levels as you get older.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can, you should, in whatever capacity suits your life.
Yeah.
So that might mean to you training once a week, playing every second game.
Yeah.
That might mean to somebody else playing every game, but maybe they can't make training because of work. Do you know what I mean? So you need to kind of fit the hobby around about your lifestyle. No,
I agree, and that's definitely one huge thing about it is that when I'm 38, I can gym still as much as I want at 38 and run and do all this other stuff. I can do all that at 38, but you can't really play rugby at that age. We can, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than when you're 28. So yeah, I'll maybe do a little bit. I said to you I'd do a bit of sevens. So
I know, but you're going to be
Big James. You going to?
Big James is up for that. Aye.
They're both committed for the season. Anyway,
moving on. What's happening in the world, Danny? What's new? In fact, you've been thingying the thingy. Aye, remember thingying the thingy.
Okay.
Watching the new doco.
Conor McGregor documentary.
Aye.
Conor McGregor Forever.
Aye.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, so there's been a bit of hype and a bit of build up. It only came out yesterday, so I've actually not even watched it yet.
I've watched a few eps. He's basically been, which I didn't know, but he's been getting a film crew basically following him about since the day he joined the UFC. All the time.
Is that right?
Yep. Constantly.
Well, because it was that first movie.
Everything.
There was Notorious.
That's right.
So
they've been there.
Is this a carrot? Is this a continuation
is like the season now. They're getting into a bit more depth. They're maybe not glamorizing them as much. You know what I mean? They're no really glamorizing them. They're just telling it as it is. The good bits, the bad.
Almost kind of just like a fly in the wall. Kind of. That's
exactly it. He's obviously talking to the camera little bits, but a lot of it is just them capturing the footage, him not even really caring that the cameras are there, and him just acting like there is no cameras there. And you're kind of seeing the highs and the lows and all that, and it's interesting. It's just really interesting because obviously what do you go with?
No, so I was going to go back to your point, but do you know how difficult it is to pretend that the cameras aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Like we had obviously a videographer in for the rugby, and you're trying not to look at it, and every single time I walk past it, fucking look at the cameras. Like, I'd be terrible if you were to film a documentary.
If he's had them there for years, they're just like
sorry
background. But I think it's interesting. Obviously, Conor McGregor, biggest star in the world at some point, still questionably the biggest star in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people loved him, then a lot of people hated him, and then you always hear the people who obviously say they hate him.
Did we not go to the casino to watch
yes, we did.
him versus...
Was it no Aldo?
No, I think it was the one...
Been a few casinos.
Whoever was after Aldo.
It was, what's his face?
Or maybe it was before Aldo, because I remember...
Mendes?
Maybe one of them, right? But I remember being fairly merry in the casino with a rolling sausage at like 4 a.m. or whatever it was.
So no, he's obviously, I've only watched a few episodes of this, but it just seems to be they've kind of captured everything. They've captured a good bit of what this guy's life's been like over the last 6-7 years. Like he fought Habib 5 years ago. Think about that.
It's wild.
That's mad. 5 years ago that was.
What? But then
5 years ago.
That's mental.
I know.
This is it. They probably, if they capture them during that time, it's probably through the most turbulent time of, because obviously he had the Rise, which is like that first movie, that Notorious, and it was literally like just boom like that. There was no blips in the road whatsoever.
None.
Pretty much up until
Diaz.
Well, Diaz was still part of it because then he came back and still fought him again and then won again.
That was the first time he'd been bet in the UFC.
It was pretty much after Mayweather, the kind of decline, potentially, you can call it, started to happen. So he had the Mayweather fight and then he took a bit of time off and then he started losing and like lost against Khabib. And even though he came back and fought, what's his face? Cowboy. Dusted him in like 3 seconds. And then came back and then lost against...
Well, it shows you the importance of your mindset, your environment. Like in the first few episodes, you get that because like how he's preparing for Habib is through anger. He's raging all the time and he's just on one. He's drinking all the time. He's just not really in the right headspace. So then he's getting into that with like bad intentions. But then most of these fights, including Cowboy, he's getting into a level head. He's getting into like his training's the number one priority. So it just shows you the kind of environment you put yourself in and the mindset you put yourself in can either have a very good result or a very bad result. Do you know what I mean? So, and he was getting injured and all that. Injuries he's not even spoke about, like broke his hand twice and all that training. He broke his toe 2 weeks before Habib, like badly broke it and was getting like work done in it. So it just showed you like it seemed to be like when he was in the bad mindset, all the bad stuff was happening. He was in a good mindset. It was just everything flowed. Don't know why I'm talking about that now, but like...
No, but that was interesting because like we were speaking about this earlier and it was like when... And I was talking to Jason about this as well. And like on his rise, he made it very clear in his own head that he was going to be successful. Like when he was fighting in swimming trunks inside boxing rings in Ireland, being like that, my name's Conor McGregor and I'm going to be the next biggest thing in the UFC. Like then... So he was like he was probably the first person I could ever remember. That's what Jason's saying as well, that like speaking actively on like visualization and like predicting what your life is going to be like. And now he had the whole Mystic Mac thing and he was like, I predict that this is going to happen or that is going to happen. A lot of it did start to happen because
first like 3-4 fights
he just
exactly
so wholeheartedly believed in it. And maybe that just got to his head and then maybe he just didn't believe, he just thought that things were maybe going to happen without actually
But then all the money, all the fame, all the attention all the time. Do you think he's obviously when he started getting all these businesses going, his attention obviously would have been, even though he was in the fight game, he's like, how can I promote Proper 12 here? How can I create a story to get more hype for
Black
Proper 12 here?
And all that
Black
sort
Forge, rather than just how can I win the fight here?
Remember there was videos of him in fucking mad bed and like in pure hookers beds and that.
I was literally just about to say that. like what I remember about Conor McGregor, because he's not particularly been fighting for the past 2 years or something like that. It's just Twitter threads of Connor's trying to kick somebody's head in D12 or whatever in like Dublin.
He's probably been at court more times the last 5 years than he's fought. You know what I mean? Like,
it's mental. And see, the thing is as well, he's had a pure fucking almost like Scarface villain arc, innit? He started getting like the more successful he got, like the more bad he got.
I think it's because he started to think that's what people were wanting and that's what people expected.
How much of it do you think's just been an act though, or do you think that's
None of
literally just
zero.
a nutcase?
Zero. You can tell when you watch it, you're like, none of this is an act. This is genuinely. He's I feel the energy off the room. So and how people are and all that. And if I'm in a nice chilled environment, I'm going to be chill. I'm not going to be a certain way. So I'd rise to my environment, sort of thing.
But have you seen people talk about like, or I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you've been in a room somewhere and someone just like commands the room just with their presence. Like you can feel the person's presence just without them even saying anything, just with them being there, just with the, when everyone walks into a bar, you can, that sort of presence. People know.
It's called respect.
So he has that wherever he goes, right? And the clip that I wanted to show you is, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen him in the conversation that Michael Chandler had?
Aye.
And Michael Chandler's in the suit. Aye, he's do what you're told. So in fact, we'll play it.
I went to see him. He done like a talk in Glasgow.
Aye. Mate, there was videos of him in Sanctuary, fucking absolutely wild. His tits after it. Anyway, hold on.
So Mike, let's see, give you props and respect. I was like, hardest fight you can come back and take. Hey, I'm actually really looking forward to a proper fight. What was the Mystic Mike prediction? Second round KO. Keep dreaming, Lord. Keep dreaming. Hit you with the hard ones in the first. If I told you what weight it's going to be, 184. You want to do 185? I'll do 185. You'll do what you're told. I'm going to pin you. This is my game. This is my game forever.
See that, right? So there's something about that I just fucking find really, really, really cool. Right, the first part is that have I told you what weight it's going to be at? Like who else in any fight, game, boxing, UFC, kickboxing, anything can like command that, has that type of authority? You can say, have I told you what weight we're going to fight at? What weight? Fucking Michael Chandler's first reaction. Oh, well, what weight is it? 185. I'll do 185. You'll do as you're told.
You do as you're told.
Fucking, and then he doesn't say anything back. No. Maybe that's been highly edited. Who knows? Maybe. But from what I'm seeing,
shot the bed.
You'll do as you're told, and then he just sat there with his arms folded, like, oh. I just find that cool. Yeah. I find something.
He's got, and like, see certain people, they have like an aura about them.
Yeah,
that's the exact thing that you're talking about. They're just like, he's a fucking dude. I'll fight you 185, mate. I'm sorry. Like, do you know what I mean?
Like it's crazy, but I don't think that's a particularly easy fight for him whatsoever.
It's not.
And like I think Michael Chandler was right in what he's saying. Is like, you've not picked an easy fight, because every fight that he's been in has almost been, if not awarded, pretty much close to being fight of the night. Isn't it? Every single fight he's been in.
You could argue Chandler's almost won the first round every single time.
Yeah, and it's because I think he's his own worst enemy, because he comes out swinging. He just
loves a scrap, doesn't he?
He's so concerned with putting on a show rather than winning the fight, and he's like, he's doing himself a bit of an injustice by doing that.
The amount of time he's had people, he had Charles Oliveira on the back foot, almost down, but he just get too excited, too caught up in it. Same way. He had Gaethje in the back, Poirier on the back. He's had everybody, mate. So like, but then you're McGregor. Like we've probably seen all the losses, right? But I think if he just brings if he brings the type of McGregor that was up against like Cowboy and was up against Mendes and that, I still think he's untouchable. I even think a good McGregor on form beats Habib.
Do you?
Yeah. I really do, and I don't just say that because I'm a McGregor fan, like pure sucking his dick, but I do, man. I believe it. Like when you look at that fight, Habib had never lost a round, I don't think, in like 10 fights or whatever, and he lost a round to McGregor. Do you know what I mean? McGregor had him tired. McGregor was getting the bet of him maybe in the third round, I think it was. So you kind of look at that and you're like, right, that obviously shows he's got the capability of doing it, but he made it even in the fourth. It was like the fight wasn't that much Habib, much as he did get the bet of him, so did McGregor. He get the bet of him, obviously made a mistake. Habib took his back in the fourth, and that was it.
That was all she wrote. But I'm looking forward to actually watching that thing.
It's
But
good.
I'm wanting to see him back in and active again. I think it'll be good for the sport and it'll be good.
And
for
how
him.
do you think mentally with his leg, much is that going to play a part? Much is that playing a part in the new in that fight not being made?
No, mate, he's got a titanium fucking rod in it. It'll be
His
stronger
legs
than what
fine
it
with all
was before.
the TRT and growth hormone and whatever
exactly.
else. And he's
jacked.
See,
definitely on.
Just the difference in his
Aye.
skull. His skull has grown.
He's a big.
His skull has
Oh.
grown.
He's got a dome.
His face is like not got fatter, got like larger
Aye.
through.
How does your face get girthier? Like
Growth
I don't
hormone.
get it.
growth hormone.
Growth hormone.
I know.
Anyway, this episode is sponsored by Human Growth Hormone Labs. If you want to. Right. Anyway, what else are we chatting about? What was it? What was the next bit?
You were wanting to chat about something.
Oh yeah, ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
I've remembered.
You remembered?
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my algorithm that's playing up or something like that. But it's just I feel like I'm seeing more and more people, probably more so self-diagnosing themselves as like ADHD, and then whether they're being like in a serious way or they're being in a funny way, where they'll like. I see reels or TikToks of like people walking indoors and be like, "Oh, why have I forgot here? But you're ADHD when blah 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 happens."
Yep.
And I feel like I'm seeing it more and more and more. Is that just me?
No.
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 Have you seen this as well?
I've seen it. I've seen a bit of it.
Yeah.
A bit of kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Do you think that, like,
I think it's became a trend.
yeah? Do you think that people
Which is-
actually have ADHD? Do you think that people have there's an increase in that, or do you actually think that people just, like Danny said, they want to hop on a trend or they want to quickly label themselves as having something in order to justify their lack of maybe positive behaviour in a certain direction?
Do you know? So I've got a couple of kind of opinions on it as well. But do you know what it's very like? And you will know somebody in your life that's done this, somebody in school or college or something, and you'll maybe do something and they go, "Oh, that throws my OCD."
Yeah,
So
they chuck
you-
that out. Aye.
You do not have obsessive compulsive disorder,
Yeah.
Sandra.
So do you think it's just becoming a term that's just so freely used now?
I think what they might be doing is they might be experiencing kind of traits of that and then just saying, "Oh, well, that's what I've got." But then also at the same time, there's probably loads of people out there that are undiagnosed.
Right.
And also, I think it's actually,
Spectrum.
yeah, but it's difficult to get a diagnosis for ADHD. I
That's
think
right.
I'm
No,
not,
you're correct.
I'm not 100% sure because I won't name her, but I was having chats and stuff with one of my clients and they were really struggling with a lot of kind of things fitness wise and various other bits and bobs. And I was like, "Here, by the way, you might actually have ADHD." And then it was no, definitely not. So we went back and forth for months and months and months and months. And I said, go speak to somebody, and she did, and eventually she did get diagnosed with ADHD. So she does literally have it, but she was never the type of person to say, "Oh, I've got ADHD." I said, "You might," and I obviously I can't diagnose people, but
You could tell.
I could tell is that this is all kind of adding up to you having something, and it's fine. See if people do it, of course. It's
But I
fine.
think, do you think there's just a lot of self-diagnosis now?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
That's the
People
problem.
Google like, I've got fucking ADHD. I've got that symptom. I've got that symptom. I can't concentrate. I find myself doing one thing, then I'm doing another. And like you hear that, you see that on TikTok, you see the videos that was my symptoms, and it turns out it makes sense now. I've got ADHD, right?
And they give themselves
Give
that.
themselves. There's no seeing a doctor. It's just they told themselves they get ADHD. Aye, and I think it's a lot to do with. You said that the internet could play a part, right?
Aye.
I think it probably is.
Yeah. Like people
Would
just
they be
spending,
saying that if TikTok wasn't a thing?
yeah, people
right?
just spending way too much time on their phones and like think of all the quick fixes of like whether it be like dopamine hits from
Yep.
like scrolling on their phones or porn or brothels or fucking anything that they can just like quickly get their hands on, like a quick fit gambling, like £50 bets here, or like you get a notification from Bet365, you can boost your bet up, like
Here we go.
all these wee quick things, and it's like if people just like dulled down the natural receptors in their brains to like experience, I don't know, pleasure, and then
That's
it's just like dulled that down to the point where they can't focus or concentrate on anything.
I think
Is
a
it
lot of
partly
people-
that, or is it partly something else?
I think for a lot of people it's that. I think it's all this technology, right? It's new. Phones are new. Social media is new. We don't really know the implications this is going to have to people. And
In their brains, aye.
we don't really know. It's but basically we're all testing it out now.
I
This
think
is a
about 20
test,
years ago,
like-
there wasn't like social media or really like you wouldn't screen time wasn't
No.
a thing.
Wasn't a thing.
Like yeah, you would watch telly, you'd watch movies, but I don't even know if 20 years ago you could like pause the telly.
You couldn't.
Or
No,
like
you
or there
definitely
was,
couldn't. It
or there
wasn't
was
live
catch
telly,
up
mate.
or like shit like that.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you missed EastEnders that day, fuck, you need to wait
No,
till the omnibus on Sunday.
You had
Like,
to, you had to record it.
I
You had
record
to
it.
record it.
Shit like
Fucking
that. So like,
On the VCR.
what is
No.
that?
VCR.
You've still got
did?
one, I know.
Aye, I've got
No,
one. in my-
no, no.
in my
Mate, I
office.
was in the flat earlier on, man. He's
Do you
getting
know-
the tapes out.
Have you fucking throwback? Do you remember like looking like in your kind of your video pile and stuff, going thinking, yes, that's the thing. Like my dad recorded a football game for me
Aye.
or something, and you put it in, and it'd be
Something
like a
else.
Disney movie. Somebody
Aye.
recorded over it.
Oh, you could
Aye.
record over shit.
Record over
Aye,
shit.
that's right.
Fucking raging.
That's right. That's right. That's wild.
Aye.
That's what, anyway. So the kind of the whole point or the whole kind of question, I guess, that I wanted to raise was: are more and more people actually getting it because of that, or are people just using it as an excuse to label something because they're maybe not achieving the things that they want to achieve? Oh, well, I've got ADHD, so I can't really focus on these things. Where it's like, do you have that, or are you just a fucking lazy
Well,
bastard?
Mate, listen. See, when I think about school, so I don't know if it was you, it was at the back garden. I was at the back garden, my mum and that, and I was talking to her. She went, when you were younger, you were diagnosed with that, and it wasn't called ADHD. It was called something else.
Autism.
Paul.
It wasn't called Paul either.
No, it was like attention deficit. It wasn't attention deficit. So
ADD?
It was like it was some,
Attention deficit disorder. It's now
Right.
attention deficit and hyperactive disorder.
that's it. So I get diagnosed. My mum said when you're younger, I get diagnosed when you're younger. Doctor said you had that, right? And I was like, Mum, that's fucking ADHD, right? But this is true.
You
It's
say it
just
funny.
ADHD.
ADHD.
ADHD. Because it is ADHD, but
It
right?
was ADHD.
ADHD.
Continue.
Say H. Are you saying H? You're just saying A.
No, I'm saying ADHD. Like-
ADH.
Say Cool Whip.
Go for it.
Say whip.
Whip.
Cool
Say-
Whip.
Cool whip. So I don't know what I was saying. That's where I thought it was going.
I actually
this is
think-
my fucking ADHD.
No, I actually think that the three of us are potentially the worst people to speak about
'Cause I'm
something like
definitely
this. 'Cause we're
going
probably,
Well,
got it.
fucking
But-
tangent city.
I don't really know where I was going with that.
Say you were basically saying that your mum.
Your mum said you.
She said I had it right, and I was like, right, okay, that's ADHD, Mum. She's like, oh well, yeah, you get diagnosed with that when you're younger, and I was like, cool, that's at school. So when I was in school, I done terribly, hated every single class except maybe a couple, right? So came out of school, jobs after jobs, again hated, couldn't get again felt like I wasn't like I was thinking about other stuff. Found fitness, obsessed. Right, obsessed. Have been ever since. It's one thing that I would say keeps my attention. And then that's what I started to realise, and I started just kind of have the thoughts. I was like, wait a minute, that's like people nowadays are going through that where they've no found their thing. So they've no they go about and they do stuff, but they've no found their thing. So their attention is just everywhere because they've no found their thing. They can't centre it. Whereas us three have found it. Fitness is like on the brain all the time.
Aye.
Business is on the brain all the time. We love it. We enjoy it. Wake up every day. It's the first thing we're excited to get up and start cracking on. So we've not got the time to sit and think about all this other stuff and think our attention's all other place and stuff because we're so
Yeah.
fixated on business and fitness.
I think
And,
that-
you know what I mean?
It's an amazing point that you've made there, and I think that I've actually noticed a huge difference. Have you? I don't know if you have noticed a
haven't.
huge difference in Danny of late, and I think ever since that you've been, I don't know if maybe you spending too much time in work or in fitness was maybe not helping you, but I think ever since you picked up Warhammer, I've really noticed like a sincere difference. And he's such a nicer guy to be around, isn't he?
He's great at painting tiny wee figures
He's
as well.
he's not as
Such a
cranky, he's not
steady
as
hand.
moany. And I think that, you know, we can get awfully tied up in fitness and in business and stuff like that. So for you to have that as a hub to go to, I think it's a marvellous thing.
Listen, it keeps my attention narrowed down to this wee figure. You know what I mean? So it's like all the noise just quietens. It's just this wee figure.
He puts this cape on and it goes silent.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That was class.
But one of the
Because you had me as well. 'Cause I was going to say, yeah, he seems really focused recently. Yep.
he
He has been,
he actually
yeah,
has
I know.
been. But anyway, so you wanted to kind of dive
Thanks.
into some of the tools that, so obviously this ADHD thing, and like, because one of the things that I find is that I go through lapses of like being able to really focus in on like work and training, and then I find that I have like periods where I don't, and then sometimes I beat myself up for periods when I don't. But obviously I need to understand that you can't always be 100% in on anything forever. So I kind of started to realise that a wee bit more now. But you wanted to talk on like kind of productivity hacks, and that, I guess that ties into this subject in a way.
It does. I think also, I was just going to finish on the last point and stuff. I think people are understimulated, right, as well. So like in terms,
Really?
yeah, don't get me wrong. A lot of people can be like over, and what I mean, kind of understimulated, is that the word I want to use? That they don't have enough in their life to keep them engaged and stimulated.
Overstimulated, under
Excited.
achieved.
I get what you're saying.
do you
Maybe
know
they're
what I mean?
overstimulated in the wrong thing,
Yeah.
but they're understimulated in the right thing.
Yeah, so for example, yeah, potentially.
That is it.
So,
Yeah.
and again, that could come down to the kind of things they're doing in their spare time and whatever. So, like, so for example, see, because we love the shit that we do, right? It's dead easy. I can be focused all day and have that hyper focus with it. But some people don't have that because they've not found out their thing. But moving on to the next point and stuff, like, I think, I suppose kind of productivity hacks and kind of thoughts around about that. I think people, and I've mentioned this before in the podcast, I think people are terrible with managing their time, right? Because generally it's not a time problem that people have, it's a time management problem that people have, right? I work with a lot of business owners, nurses, parents, lawyers, people quite high up in companies and stuff, and they are time poor, right? Like they don't have a huge amount of time, and then some of them thrive and with the time that they have because it's structured in such a way and they have systems that they've scaffolded in to make the most of that. And some people flap and they really struggle with it because it's almost like they, I suppose, kind of succumb to the fact, oh, I've got no time. And is that just a narrative that they're chucking themselves? Because the mum of three and the CEO of the company might have this same free time, but one of them, I'm not saying what one, might use what free time they have more efficiently. Does that make sense?
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Right, I totally get that, because I think I've mentioned this. I've definitely mentioned this in the podcast before, where I'd have all day to do a couple of things, and then I'd like, because I knew I had all day, I wouldn't rush to do them, and I would like chill, and then I'd be like, oh shit, and then eventually I get them done. Whereas like when I'm with Hattie on a Tuesday and she's down for 2 hours, I'm like, right, I've got 2 hours to do like 4 hours worth of work.
Domination.
It's like the
4 hours worth of,
Yeah.
or six, a whole day's worth of work. I need to fit in the 2 hours that she's sleeping.
It's
And I
funny
get it
that,
done
isn't it?
easily
It's
because I
funny
can
that.
just like, literally there's a set of tasks that needs done, and there's a time frame in which it ends. She needs to wake up at that point, otherwise I fuck up the whole rest of the day for everyone. So it's like everything gets done, and it's like, actually it was like, I could probably just look after every day if I was this productive every day.
It's because of the time you allocate yourself. You sometimes, there's a task, you know, this is a big task, this is going to take me 6 hours. It will take you 6 hours.
Yeah, that is literally Parkinson's
it
law.
is.
If you give yourself X amount of time, that task will take X amount of time.
That was one of the first things I think I learned, and
Our friendship.
no, I don't want to say, oh shit, it's my phone. I don't want to say, like, I think the worst phrase on planet Earth that people say is like their journey in self-improvement. So
It's level 10 wanky, but that's what it was.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like the
I'm
wankiest
bettering
sentence,
myself.
the wankiest sentence of all time. But like when people generally seek out to start reading, whether it be self-development books or train or hire a coach, they're generally trying to better themselves. So like that was one of the first things I remember hearing was that. And I think it might have been, I can't even remember who said it or who posted about it, but it was one of the things that's like, I don't know, it was the founding father principle of things that I've like got into my brain now, and I'll still forget from time to time, where it'd be like days like today where I've like not had the busiest calendar ever, but I've just like stretched past 6. I'd be like, oh, I've got no training, so I've got so much extra time, and when really don't. But I've got like a kind of wee thing that I'll do when I'm busy with time or busy with work.
Let's
or
all
whatever.
share a.
But
You go
Want
first.
me to go first? Hold on. I dropped my phone. So one of the things that I do, and I'll be doing it after this, I'm going to go to somewhere in work, is that I'll, if I have a task to do, so for today, for example, I'll do like a lot of programming for all my clients. I'll set like a clock between either 45 or an hour and 15, set like a timer, phone on airplane mode and that. Airplane. Phone on airplane, go. Phone on airplane mode, and then I'll just go. And then I'll put headphones in. I'll either put my hood up or a cap on. And I feel like
gangster.
I just feel like I'm pure like, I don't know what it is. And I actually...
It's like the blinkers of a horse.
Pretty much.
Like you put it on, you can't see anything else.
Pretty much, right? And
it's also to look gangster though.
I don't know why that I started doing it, right? And I would turn the lights off. You know, sometimes in the wee office, the lights are off. Because it's just like dark and it's just like... and I just go for it.
I've got a point with that.
But, and I don't know why I did it, but I'll tell you where I got the time thing from first. Was from a guy called Jason Khalipa. So he was like a former Jason Khalipa, former CrossFit Games champion, and he wrote a book, and I can't remember what the book was called, but basically it was like you should like AMRAP your life. So like whatever task or things that you need to do done. No, totally. Again, wanky CrossFit.
Emom your morning.
But he was like, and when you do a workout, right, if you've got a clock, you've got 12 minutes to do as many reps or rounds as possible within that 12 minutes, and you're like busting yourself, and like you have that burst of intensity for like the maximum amount of results. So you should apply that into like your business life. So like you've got an hour, like we're doing with these podcasts, let's cram in as much as we can within that hour.
Value.
As soon as the time's up, task done. Task done for the day instead of drawn out. So it's like, yeah, you could do 3 rounds of 10 chin-ups, 10 press-ups, 10 squats, and then take 6 hours to do it. Or you could take 3 minutes to do it. How much more effective and punctual and whatever is that going to be? So it was kind of like that thing. So I started doing that after. I've never read his book. It was just like a kind of clip I must have seen or saw somewhere. And that's been one thing that I've done regularly now, is that whenever I've got like an admin focused task or a task that typically requires more focus, I'll like set the clock, put my head up and just try and crank away at it.
Do you know, I think that's gold as well. But see, what I find people try to do is see the task, whatever the fucking task is, that it could be a work thing, it could be an admin thing, it could be a life thing or whatever. They try and pigeonhole that into times and stuff that don't actually suit their life. Like, so for example, I am my most creative at night, right? I will get no creative work done before 6 o'clock. No matter how hard I try, that Parkinson's law thing, I'll literally take all fucking day to do it, but I'll be able to do 2 days work in one evening because I'm so focused with it. But with the environment thing, I'll listen to, so see if you ever see me with my headphones on anywhere, right? I'm not listening to music. I'll either be listening to a podcast or rain noises.
Rain noises?
Rain noises, so night rain, right? And it just totally focuses my head, focuses my thoughts, because I can block everything else out and I can literally, I just think on the task at hand.
I can't do a podcast.
No, I can't do it.
I can't, because I hear voices and I'm like...
I wouldn't do that if I was working. See, if I was walking, I'd listen to a podcast, right? But if I need to think about something, like I'll sit on the couch next to Amanda with my headphones on, listening to see if I just wanted her to shut up and say, honey, I'm listening to some rain noises. And I'm being deadly serious,
I'm
right?
To rain.
But do you know that, like, again, environment...
See if it was raining outside, would you still put it on?
I just busy seeing up to the window.
That rain sounds shite, do you know what?
I genuinely do. I'll sit in my office, it could be raining outside, I just want to feel like that's in here. But talking about environment as well, see if you're trying to do deep work or you're trying to do something important and you're next to your partner, right? They don't realise how important the thing is that you're trying to do, even if you tell them, honey, this is important, because they want to chat to you.
I've had screaming matches.
I'm fucking doing something.
Like, so Katie, God love her, man, she got me a desk and all that. Like, so she replaced where she did her makeup in her room, right? She got rid of like a kind of whatever set of drawers and all that, and then she put a desk in for me because like
cute. It was cute.
Amazing, such a thoughtful thing. It's also a horrendous place to work from when they're all home. So like I work. See when Hattie's sleeping, it's just me and her, and Hattie's in her bed. Poof, I'm there, I'm using it. It's class. But when everybody's home, I've got 3 things there. I've got Katie, I've got Hattie, I've got Bear, right? And then Katie would come in like holding Hattie, all cute, and I'm in my headphones, I'm in the zone, and then she starts putting her toes on the keyboard. I'm like, yes, cutest thing on planet Earth, but get to fuck. I'm busy. And then again, it takes me like a good, like, it takes me maybe like a wee bit of like warming up to like get into something. I can't just like get into it. So like,
As soon as you're distracted out of it again, then you need to
and then
try
I'm like, I was like focusing on something. She's like, oh, you don't need to be like that. And I'm like, I'm not being like anything. I'm just like, and then boom.
It's like, can you
Do you
not
know-
see? I'm trying to work.
Do you know what kind of sounds that we're saying here? Your productivity is a product of your environment.
Yeah.
Sounds that we're all saying.
Huge.
And I would agree. I have my triggers, I call them, that get me into work zone, and it's a mint nasal. What?
And you've definitely got autism.
Right.
Done it.
Listen, this is my sequence, right? So I need to get my coffee.
I bought one of them.
Brilliant, by the
Yeah.
way, right? You take you get the mint, you're right, cool. Music, I can't listen to podcasts, I can't listen to music with lyrics. Lyrics, anyone singing, because I just sing the song in my head while I'm trying to work with this isn't fucking helping.
That helps.
So I need to listen to jazz music. I need to listen to
You wanna-
I
to jazz?
need to listen to jazz, right? And it's just beat. It's just, and hours will go by, and I've just been cracking out focus work. Music's been on. I've been completely oblivious to the world. Listening to a piece, I'm drinking coffee, then I'm having to fucking up all the time. But and then
The old man bladder.
and then I can't work in my living room. I don't even work in my living room. The majority of my focus work will be like, I know coffee shops. So if I've got some deep focus work I want to get done, I know for a fact if I go to a coffee shop, like same in the evening thing, I'm going in 2 hours, I'm going to get 5 hours worth of work done. If I'm in the office again, I need to get the environment. I need to be even more careful, but set myself up right in the office to get myself into the zone I can get myself in a coffee shop. So again, it will just be like, right, get everything right, everything's clean, everything's there, it's ready to go. Like, so I think your environment, your productivity is a product of your environment.
There is a part of all of this which is very, very, very true, right? Extremely true, because I'm guilty of it just as much as all of us here. But, and there's kind of like an analogy that I'll bring it back to, but sometimes, like, see, when you have to get something done, doesn't matter what the environment is, what's going on, whether it's fucking raining cats and dogs or not,
Pressure button it.
Pressure.
you can get it on. And then there was this thing
That was me at college.
I think I
4
heard
years.
this from Jordan Peterson, and it was like, so there was an experiment done with a tube, and then there was was it Ev that said this?
No, he's the tube.
I'm the tube. Might have been me that said it, though, depends.
So there was like a tube, and then basically they would dangle the smell of cheese. There was rats or mice in the tube, and they would dangle the smell of cheese at the end of the tube, and then they would measure the pressure of which the mouse or the rat would pull to get towards it. So that's us chasing the cheese. We're kind of like, oh, there's cheese there, let's go. But
Oh,
when
piece of candy.
when
Piece
they
of candy.
whiffed the smell of a cat through the back end,
Mhm.
it was like 10x the amount of force that this rat or mouse was chasing. And then they took the cheese away, and it was still more prominent than the thing dangling in front of them was the fear dangling behind them. And this sort of behavior transfers into humans as well. And it's like, yes, we all have a reward if we are productive and we work and whatever. Yeah, you would gain clients and make more money and blah, 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 blah. But what if you had, I think how much harder you work, that you get a $7,000 car bill,
Uh-huh.
bang, fuck,
Mhm.
let's go. It doesn't matter if it's fucking day, night, if you need to be creative or if you need to have a
definitely.
mint stick, you just fucking get it done. So it's like sometimes, so the environment thing can be whether or not you're chasing something,
Yeah.
whether or not you're running away from something, or whether or not it's a combination of the two.
But both are powerful. Both help. And
Powerful in a different way.
clients as well. Like most of your most dedicated clients, right off the bat, are the ones who are getting away from something. They're so unhappy and so pissed off, and they're coming from a real place. I like, this is a struggle for me now, and I feel like sometimes they're the ones that are more receptive and more willing to like put graft in to get somewhere. I would say you see that a lot.
100%. I actually didn't take someone on not that long ago.
What a flex.
Mhm.
I know.
What a flex.
What a flex. Flex City. And because I was like, you don't really want it enough.
No.
So I
See-
could tell straight away that you're going to be a pain in the arse.
You speak to them, things are alright, man.
I
I just
kinda
really
want this, I
want to do
kinda
this and do this.
So-
What's been happening? I don't know much. They've just been kind of.
Aye, so I was like,
So
nah,
not-
sorry.
yeah.
I'm not the guy for you.
Mhm. Yeah, and it makes sense. And I think that when you've been in the game a little bit, you can kind of understand that, because you become a yes man at the start, and you kind of, out of necessity, you have to.
Kinda fucking-
don't
You have to.
You learn.
And then it gets to a point where, like, I think when you understand a little bit more about like your own values as like a coach or a business owner, and then you stand by those and you follow those rather than following the money. Often the money is a bit of a byproduct of that anyway, because then you're attracting the right sorts of people into your business, which then pays off long term.
Yeah.
And
You know
it's
how much a headache it is when you just take somebody on for sake it. And
You told me a stat once about clients causing you problems. There's an 80-20 rule.
Well, like 20% of your clients will be a pain in the arse.
That's like 20% of your clients cause you 80% of your problems.
Yes. That's
And then
right.
it was the same as like 80% of your revenue comes from like 20% of your clients or something like that. That was the backhand or the back end that someone else told me from like I guess that works more on different service-based businesses like builders and stuff like that, but makes a lot of sense.
100%.
Makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. But
it
is what it is, you know. You got a point there, Danny.
That's a big
That was a
M
big
there.
sigh.
I know, like M.
no.
That's just like his brain.
Do you know what? See the M? Didn't mean to say it.
it just happened.
It just happened.
Danny reminds me of that video, and it's like, have you seen it? It's like, I don't know what ADHD is. No.
I don't know what ADHD is, but
No,
I've got 80
No,
or something.
I don't know what HD is, but apparently I've got 80 of them bitches.
That's it.
ADHD.
That
You remind me of that. Yeah, you definitely.
Rap there.
Did you see so before we wrap up, did you see Theo Vaughn?
I don't know who that is.
You know who Theo Vaughn
He
is.
doesn't trust me. I've asked him. Trust me.
He's the comedian, mullet.
Yeah.
Right, see, knows who he
knows
is.
that.
Yep, continue.
And he was getting introduced in that podcast, and there was like two hosts, and they were
Oh,
kind of
that's
like
excellent.
goofy looking guys.
Two
and he's
English
like,
dudes.
yeah, so he's introducing us saying, today we have comedian Theo Vaughn on as these two kind of eccentric guys, and he's pure like this, and he's like, oh guys, you have what we call in the States autism. Oh, the guy's just fucking.
He's
I do
on
know
another
who that is.
level.
He's
I do know who that
he's
is.
unhinged.
He's on another level, isn't he?
Mate, nobody else. Oh wait, what was your productivity hack? You didn't even say yours,
He did.
did he?
No.
I did.
Aye.
I gave the environment thing as well.
Oh,
But do you want
sorry, aye,
another one?
Go on then, hit me
Right.
with another one.
If you struggle to really laser down on what tasks you need to do, there's a thing called the Eisenhower matrix, right? And it's basically 4 boxes, right? And you can literally have a list of all the shit you need to do in a day, right? And you can split those tasks into these 4 boxes: do now, do later, delete, delegate, right? So all the shit you need to do in a day, you fuck them into those boxes. Start with the do now, delegate the shit you can do, you can delegate, delete the stuff that really shouldn't be on your plate, and then you've got some stuff to do later as well that isn't as important as the do now stuff.
I do something with that with a scale. So 10 being the highest priority, 9, 8, 7. And I'll basically look at the task, give it the score out of 10. And then I'll look, after I've gave the scores of the tasks I have to get done, I'll look, right, cool, if there's like 2 9s, I know they're the first 2 getting done. And then if there's like an 8, cool, I know that's next. 7.
No, it's
anything,
mad, right?
anything under a 7 can either get pushed to another day or the last thing gets
No,
done.
it's mental, right? That would take me all day to do those lists.
Would
rather than
it?
just doing the actual tasks that you're meant to be doing.
How do you know the
It just
task you're
seems
meant
like-
how do you know you're meant to do?
Oh, everybody knows what they need to do. Let's face it. You
Mate,
get-
I would disagree completely.
for the most part,
You think
99%
so?
of the time, you know what you need to do.
I'd be
It's the exact
so
same way as your
you
clients.
go to bed having a to-do list for the next day?
Most of the time.
You're off your nut.
Most of the time.
Evan, do you go to bed with a
Don't
to-do
shout
list for
at
the
me,
next
Dad.
day?
I don't have a to do. I'm a morning planner.
Yeah,
These are
well,
wild.
thing is, you wake up at fucking 10:30 in the morning.
They're
I'm-
fuck.
I've already been up about 10 hours at that point.
I got up at 7, quarter to 7.
Does he? Fuck.
I fucking do.
There's no
I've
way,
been
mate.
getting up at 6 recently.
I got up 7 quarter to
Man,
7.
productivity's through the roof.
Go on my
You were picking the sleep at your eyes when I picked you up this morning
wait,
or this
shite.
afternoon. You was like,
I was in the gym for 8.
he's 10 minutes,
I was
Jordan.
in the gym for 8 after having a full hour myself where I went to the gym on my phone.
Right, we'll talk after
You
class.
just can argue.
Anyway,
after
I bet
class.
I would have anxiety if I went to bed without knowing exactly what I'm doing the next day.
But I think I do know what I need to do the next day.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. I'm
Wrap
sitting there
it up.
writing things. Oh, this is a 7 out of 10.
I mean, it takes-
solved it.
No, but
I don't-
to
listen.
see them quite fair, people should be writing lists.
No, people,
100%.
yeah, lists are good. Lists are good.
Don't listen to
Anyway,
the two
anyway,
people.
anyway.
Listen to Danny.
Wrap it up.
Thank you for tuning in to the No Rep podcast. Couple of things before you go though. The first thing that you need to do is share this with a friend. Share this. If you found any value, any funniness, anything whatsoever, you need to share it with multiple friends. And it's a per episode fee, by the way. Don't just share it once and think that, oh, I can fucking, that's me done. No, every episode.
You need to pay the man.
Pay the fucking man, right?
Pay the fucking man.
Pay the man. Share it with your mom as well. She loves it. Absolutely. Don't she, Danny?
Loves it.
And
She loves it.
we're trying to churn these things out weekly. We don't have any sponsors, so the best way that we grow the podcast is through word of mouth. So thank you guys. Peace.
Appreciate
Bye.
you.